Cherry Wainwright. I'm a research professor in cardiovascular pharmacology at Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen. I've spent 40 years studying the pathology of cardiovascular disease, particularly in response to a heart attack. And through doing that, been looking to identify new drug targets for the treatment and prevention of ischemic heart disease. We've recently been working in collaboration with a small company called Agroceutical Products Limited, based in North Wales, who produce alkaloids from daffodil bulbs. And one of these alkaloids, galantamine, is already being used for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. But during the extraction process of these alkaloids, there's a lot of other alkaloids that are present that could have potential beneficial effects. So we've been working with some of these alkaloids derived from daffodil bulbs to see if they can interrupt some of the events that occur during the development of cardiac fibrosis, which is the thickening and stiffening of the ventricles of the heart. This is a long-term process that occurs particularly after an acute myocardial infarction or heart attack. And so we've been able to find that some of these alkaloids interfere with the release of certain chemicals that the stressed cardiomyocytes produce in response to the damage resulting from a heart attack. And those chemicals are ones that then go on to activate fibroblast cells, which are the cells that migrate into damaged tissue to produce extracellular matrix material that gets laid down between the cardiac cells and leads to ventricular stiffness. The alkaloids are in fact toxic, not just to humans, but to animals as well. So eating a raw daffodil bulb would not be a very good idea. But by separating out the individual alkaloids, we can identify which ones are going to be toxic and which ones are not, using our cell-based systems, at least toxic in terms of heart cells. So preliminary screening really is important in ruling out those that really would have damaging effects on the heart. Obviously, when we have a candidate alkaloid, then it would need to go through the standard regulatory safety testing to ensure that it's not toxic to other organs or just poisonous in general. Alkaloids are present in many different plants. The reason we've chosen daffodils, however, is that these are grown as a commercial crop, and so extracting alkaloids from them is relatively easy. It's not just about drug discovery, because if alkaloids are being, or if a single alkaloid is just being extracted from the plants, then there's a lot of wastage in terms of the valuable chemicals that are left behind. So the project really is aimed at trying to find a new use for some of the alkaloids that would normally be discarded. And so that is a way of valorizing the industry, increasing potential revenue for the industry by utilizing the same raw material to isolate different alkaloids for different therapeutic purposes. To understand the chemical fingerprint of what is in both the daffodil bulbs and the flowers and leaves requires metabolomic analysis. And so we're also collaborating with a colleague from Kew Gardens, who has a lot of knowledge around phytochemicals and is also very interested in daffodils, or the Narcissus genus of plants. At the moment, we're focusing on one variety of daffodil, which is Carlton, which is the one that is grown commercially at the moment for the extraction of galanthamine. The environmental conditions in which daffodils are grown is very important to determining what the chemical composition is. So the ones grown up here in the northeast of Scotland, which is what we're using the leaves and flowers from, are grown more or less at sea level in a coastal area, just in Montrose. The alkaloids that we've been looking at in collaboration with Kevin, his bulbs are grown on grazing ground at higher altitude inland in Wales. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the difference is in terms of alkaloid content and in terms of other bioactives in the flowers and leaves across the two sites. So yeah, that is a very important point. The chemical composition is determined very much by the environment. This is a very important project from the terms of collaboration, because Agreceutical Products Limited is a very small company and they don't have the in-house expertise to be able to do the kind of work that we do. In the opposite direction, it's giving us the opportunity to work with chemicals, compounds that we've never really worked with before. And it comes on the back really of a whole career spent working in collaboration with the pharmaceutical industry, right from the point that I did my PhD right up to the present day. Most of my projects have been collaborative in this way.
Kevin Stevens, and I am founder of Agreceutical Products Limited. Our company grows specific varieties of daffodils under special conditions in the mountains of Wales to produce galanthamine, an approved Alzheimer's drug. We started working with Robert Gordon University to utilize their unique knowledge and skill sets around cardiac health to investigate the potential for other daffodil alkaloids to become a treatment for cardiac problems. The collaboration has worked really well. We not only got positive results from the early stage research, but the team themselves were a joy to work with and addressed all the technical issues that came up during the project in a very professional manner.
Well, there are two directions for the project. The first is to try and get the funding to move the project that around cardiac fibrosis on, which is probably one of the more difficult things to do. The other is that we're now expanding the collaboration to include a farmers cooperative, Grampian Growers, because they would like to utilize the biomass that is left in the field after the bulbs have been lifted, which is the decaying leaves and flowers of the daffodils. We have a PhD studentship that is funded through the Industrial Biotechnology Innovation Centre, and looking at what bioactives to improve cardiovascular health may be present in the leaves and flowers of the daffodils, so that we can further utilize natural raw materials as potential drug or nutraceutical products. I think one really nice touch as well is that there was the suggestion that we might want to grow daffodils here on site at RGU, so that we have ready access to the material that we want to use. So Grampian Growers kindly donated us 50 kilograms of daffodil bulbs of two varieties that they're interested in, and our head gardener kindly found us a spot by our building, and so they're all planted up, and we're looking forward to seeing them popping up in the spring.